Hi folks, after 8 months of living in a building site and not being able to make any glass pieces, I'm finally at a stage where, well, I'm ready to get started again. So first thing I did was I got on Facebook Marketplace looking for antique mirrors, found a set of 3 that I got really cheap, and in today's video I'm just going to go about upcycling one of these. Now I don't know what problems, if any, I'm going to come across along the way, but you can sort of stumble across a few problems with old mirrors. So hopefully there's a few things to be learned from this video. If not, I hope you enjoy it anyway. It's just me getting back into the swing of things. But anyway, that out of the way, let's crack on with it. Right, so this is the mirror, and you see it's got a date stamp on it, 7th of April 1961. So nice and old. And the one problem you might come across with mirrors of this age is the backing paint is nothing like modern backing paint, which is it's kind of got almost either a satin or a glossy finish. It's quite thick and easy to apply vinyl to. This stuff is 100% matte. I don't know if you can see that there's a texture as well. And that is a problem because a lot of the time vinyl doesn't stick to this very well. This does seem okay in the sense that, like, the older it gets, the more powdery this gets, and you can get some mirrors where the backing paint is just unusable. You can't apply vinyl to it. So I want to test on a strip of vinyl to see whether or not I'm going to be able to do that. So I've just got a bit here. I'm going to just stick that somewhere on the edge maybe. Another thing about this backing paint is it's nowhere near as strong as modern backing paint. So a lot of the time when you sandblast it, it will instantly be removed. Whereas with the sort of modern mirror, you can be sandblasting it and then you have to wait for it to sort of eat through the backing paint and the copper layer. So there's a possibility I could ruin this mirror by just peeling this backing tape off. Sorry, not backing tape, this vinyl. So let's have a look. Well, first of all, it goes on okay. Like it's not like all flaky and stuff like that, but it's not peeling the backing paint off, which is another good sign, but it is peeling away a bit easier than it should. So I'm not going to trust that. It did start taking a little bit of paint off as well, or something off anyway. So I'm not going to trust this because I don't want to do a really intricate design, apply the vinyl, pick it, only to sandblast it and it blows all the vinyl off. And it's quite a simple fix, providing it's not too far gone, which obviously this isn't. You know, you can see that it's still strong in terms of, you know, it's not coming off with the vinyl. So I'm just going to coat it with some, this is one shot UV clear, which is just a quick drying, almost like a quick drying clear enamel. But you could just do this with a gloss spray paint as well. And it's just, the vinyl is going to stick much better to a glossy surface that's a bit more even than this sort of textured matte surface. So, go ahead and do it. Right, I wouldn't say this is a tip, but for doing jobs like this, I just need real cheap materials, you know, so you're not going to want to buy yourself decent paintbrushes just for coating things with clear varnish or anything like that for that matter. If you got to back a piece up, I wouldn't buy a decent paintbrush because you don't need to. So this is the cheapest one I could find, £1.15, and I'll just throw it away once I've done. I do that quite a lot, and I suppose that is a bit wasteful, but I always look at it as if someone said, I'll pay you £1.15 to clean that brush, I'd go, no thanks mate. So I'm not going to clean my own brush because I can't be bothered. Right, I'm just about to put this on, but the reason I've stopped the video to start talking is that time lapse you just saw was 2 days ago. So ordinarily, if you've followed my videos, you'll know that I soak the glue in water for about 45 minutes before I then put it onto the heat. So this has been 2 days, and it's been covered, so no water will have escaped. So I can only assume it's going to be better for the longer it's waited, just because it's 100% absorbed and, yeah, as good as it's going to get. Oh man, that stinks. What I'm also going to do differently, and it's a bit experimental, so we'll see if this makes any difference. But I know that on my hob, heating it up to number 4 is about where it's going to be at the 45-degree mark where I want it to be. But I'm going to slowly do this. I'm just going to start it on 2 and leave it, I don't know, for half an hour, something like that, just so that it can become a liquid. It will be nowhere near hot enough to pour, but I'm just going to do it slowly this time. Everything I've read about glue chipping, people say, the longer you can leave it, the better you're going to get, the more consistent chip. I've never done that, maybe impatience, but, I've always just brought it to the temperature it needs to be and put it on, and it's always worked. So about time I tried something different. So here we go. See how it goes. So just to add another slight curveball into the mix, when I checked my glue, it was at 60 degrees, and that should be fine. It's like quite a wide range before your glue starts sort of ruining with the heat. So I think it's from 45 to about 65. I assumed leaving it on 2, it was going to sort of just plateau at a certain temperature, but obviously got a bit hotter than I expected. But it was on there a long time. It took a lot longer to sort of dissolve into just liquid than it normally would. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get a decent result, but I'm also hoping I'm going to get a different result, because that's quite a few variables. A lot longer soaking, a lot longer bringing to heat, and then a lot hotter than I usually do it. So we'll see. You also might have seen on the time lapse, I was doing a little bit of fiddly stuff at the end. So I just want to explain that so that people aren't looking at that wondering what I was doing. So when I poured the glue, there was some really big bubbles. And when you get bubbles, they're not sat on the sort of surface of water, like surface of the liquid. They're causing a sort of crater. So they can be areas that won't chip or sort of chip differently. So what I was doing was just popping them, the big ones, and then just going and putting 1 or 2 drops of glue into the crater that was made from when I popped the bubble. So yeah, I've now got a nice even bit really smelly surface. So I'm now just going to let this sort of form into a gel. Then I'm going to trim away all the bits that I don't want to chip. But I'll do that as a time lapse. Right, so I'm really happy with how this is going so far. But before we move on, I just have some pretty exciting news from the world of reverse glass art. My channel, the most popular subject on my channel is glue chipping. They're the videos that get the most views, and the majority of the questions I get asked are about glue chipping. The Facebook group, most people want to really give that a try above all things. So really excited to tell you that Dave Smith is now releasing his second online course, which is 100% about glue chipping. For those who don't know Dave is, he's widely regarded as the best reverse glass artist in the world. He's an absolutely amazing guy, and back in 2022 he released his first online course. This online course was over 50 hours long, covering just a multitude of gilding techniques, reverse painting, equipment, kit lists. It's absolutely amazing. And when it first came out, all we had were the kind of examples that David made, but over a year on, a lot of people on the Facebook group have done the course, and we've seen the results of that, and they're absolutely amazing. These are people who have never tried it before, and what they're producing from doing Dave's online course are completely professional pieces of work. And not just, looking at their work, you can tell it's amazing, but, the things they've got to say about the course, all of them are excited to having finished it and just want to restart it again. So I'm just going to put a link to Dave's current course in the link to the description, in the video description. And here's a trailer for his upcoming glue chipping course. Right, so the gilding's done, and I've given it a good rinse under warm water to get rid of any sort of remnants of glue. So now the only thing to do with glue chip glass is gild it. Anything else is sacrilege. But before I go on and gild it, I just want to go through a few things, because one of the most, well, not popular I'd say, but quite a common question I get asked on the Facebook group or in the YouTube comments is, can you gild etched glass? And the answer to that is yes, you can, but you need to do a bit of prep first. So let me just bring this down and I'll show you how the chip turned out, and also what I'm going to be doing to get this ready for gilding. So firstly, we've got quite a unique chip here. It's a mixture of kind of coffee bean chip. Let's see, I hope this shows up. Just lower the camera down. So we've got a mixture of like a coffee bean chip around here, some of the fern patterns coming up throughout in the bigger chips here, and then what we call an iceberg chip around the edge, and that's where you get these really big chunks of frosted glass. And they're the bits that can be problematic, because gold leaf doesn't like to stick, well, it doesn't stick to frosted glass, so you just need to put a little coating on that. Everything else is perfect. The gold leaf will stick to that really well. So we're just going to go back to the product that I used earlier, which is a one-shot UV clear. But again, you can use clear varnish or clear gloss enamel. But this, I really would recommend getting this. It's such a good product. It is expensive. It's like 50 quid a tin, but you get so much of it. It's super quick drying. I use it for backing up gold leaf for any time that I need to kind of prep etch surfaces for gilding. Yeah, it's just a really, really good product. So all I'm going to do, just move this around here. I hope this is going to be visible. So these kind of areas here where they're just a bit too big, I'm just going to give them a really, really thin coat. Not even being careful, because it doesn't matter if you go over the edge of this, it's clear varnish as long as you're applying it thin enough. And that, when that dries, that's just going to be enough for that for the leaf to stick to it. I'm not going to do that on bits where it's all really tiny around there, just the kind of larger bits. And also, the reason I'm doing this and not going for a second chip is just because of the kind of how sporadic it came out. So if I'd have got a really uniform fern pattern or a coffee bean chip all over the surface of this, and it had some of these bits, then I would apply another coat of glue, because I'd want to kind of just get that a kind of really uniform surface. But because we've got such variations of the chip size and pattern here, I just think that this is going to be the best way to go. There's no point just spending another however many days glue chip in just to get a few little shards out of these chipped areas. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to be painting the G, the compass and the border in black, and then I'm going to be gilding the rest with various shades of gold leaf. So we'll come back to that once I've done all the painting. Okay, we're good to go with the gilding, and I'm just going to talk you through the kit and then I'll talk you through what I'm going to be doing. Apologies for the pitter-pattering, that's my dog just running around in circles. So first of all, let's take a look at the kit. So what I'm doing, I've got a lot of leaf, but not a lot of one type of leaf. So what I'm going to do is going to start with the yellowest gold, so 23 karat gold in the center. So I'm going to go 23 karat gold out till about here. Then I'm going to blend that out to, well, let's see what we've got. Maybe either a lemon gold or a citron gold, and then hopefully finish with a white gold, 12 karat white gold around the edge if I've got enough. This is subject to, I haven't looked through these, I just know that I've used a lot of them. The setup, I can talk you through something now which I really wanted to go through before I sort of had the flood and had a big break, but this thing here was made for me by one of the Facebook group members, a guy called Philip Barbosa. He made me two of them, one of them's on the rig at the moment, and it's such a brilliant idea. It's just, you basically got a hole in here that you put over a pipe, a groove for your glass to go in, and that's it really. And I mean, he's made these and they're beautifully made. Look at that, really, really nicely finished. But I'll show you the setup and how simple it is. So down at the bottom here, because this is a circular piece of glass, I didn't want it just sort of wobbling around, so I just found a couple of old bits of skirting board, but any bit of wood with a groove in it, sort of figured out where they needed to be on another bit of wood and then just stuck them on there. Nothing special at all. I'll throw this away once I've done this job because it's made specifically for this bit of glass and it was just scrap wood. Then I've got this, which this is the glass holder that Philip made. It's got a different groove in either side, one for 4mm, one for 6mm. I've just got it on standard copper pipe and I've held it in there with pipe clips. And then down the bottom, I've just attached it, standard plumbing fittings, and just clamped it to the worktop. Let's just move that around so you can see. So this, when I am done with it, is just that size. You know, it'll fit in a decent drawer. So, you know, really good, considering in the past I've had things like leaning up against worktops or, you know, making a sort of rig that is, well, very big and cumbersome, I suppose. And in this case, you know, those things that Philip sent have just made so much difference to how I sort of work now. But anyway, let's crack on with this. So, to blend gold leaf, I have done a tutorial on this, and just to be clear at this point, this isn't going to be a full gilding tutorial. I've done quite a lot of them, so I'll put a link to the playlist for gilding up here and also in the video description. But to blend gold leaf, you just need wire wool, but make sure you get the finest type of wire wool. You get this sort, that's going to scratch your glass. So yeah, this really sort of fine stuff. And what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be starting in the middle. It's going to be a bit long-winded. Ordinarily, when you gild, you start and you just go from left to right, top to bottom. I'm going to be starting in the centre. So once I've done all of the 23 karat gold, I've then got to leave that to dry, do the blending, do the next layer of whatever gold it is, maybe the lemon gold around that, leave that to dry, shade that for blending, and then it's all got to have 2 or 3 coats. The beauty of this, and with me kind of making this almost like a sort of sun, I'm not too fussed about where you're going to find natural cracks in this when it's being burnished, because let's say if this yellow gold ends up with a load of sort of cracks in it, I might gild over the back of that with a white gold, because I think that'll look really, really subtle going through this glue chip, just to have a few of those through there. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to do the sort of gilding as a time lapse, but like I say, any process that I'm doing that you would like to learn, if this is the first time you've seen this channel or this video, any of my videos, there's a link. I've done them all before, so I'll put links in the top right corner and in the description. Well, I just thought I'd stop and talk you through this blending bit, because I know I always refer people back to the other videos, but this ain't going to take long, so save you going and jumping and finding all that out from elsewhere. Right, so thin wire wool, just going to hold it relatively loosely, and then all I want to do is get rid of the sharp lines where the edge of the leaf is, and also then kind of give myself an evenish shape. I'm not really aiming for a circle, I'm just aiming for something that looks sort of relatively even. So let's just start here, and it comes away, you don't have to push very hard, it comes away pretty easy, and you will get dust from the wire wool as well, so you just need to kind of brush that off once it's all done. And you'll see, you know, there are areas where it might look, let me just bring this down, like there's a sharp line, but once that other leaf is on there, that'll blend fine. You know, really we're just kind of making sure that we're preserving the bits closest to the design, and then just fading them out. So just rubbing, go on the edges first, and then you can sort of gradually go in just a little bit. You can see that's sort of coming away there, but yeah, giving it a little bit more work just around the edge. And for now, I'm just gonna do that, because I'm not particularly fussed about making sure the pattern is even yet. I'm just going to do the blend, and then I'll come back to that and have a look overall. So let's just, right, I'm just going to have a look at what we've done so far. I hope that you can see it. That looks pretty good so far. I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera, but yeah, the shape is nice and even, and that's blended out quite nicely. Well, you can certainly see a huge difference from this side to this side. All of these little patchy bits, if I put that up to the glass, you can see there's all holes in it. They're all going to be patched in with the second coat. So yeah, that was it. Just wanted to cover that in a little bit of detail, but then crack back to the time lapse now.